tuma Yammewa Yammewa Ayayabe Ayawa ilanzi Cesare Joran namsa Kaso korora Lakuma Warantara Jona Wanzumzanga Tini Benza Taragoma Tapuro Tiagenga Aba Imani Zenze
Sir.
Oh, we're live? Okay.
That's what you said.
I don't see it here, so that's why I said. Ujjayi, and welcome to the Gator Gates podcast. We are excited to be back with you guys. We know it's been some time. We know.
Very long time.
We know you missed us. We missed you guys. But before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge all the forces in the non-material, particularly all the ancestors standing behind this great work, all the powers of nature standing behind this great work. And also, we would like to acknowledge the founder of the Earth Center, Nebnabla Musa Dinabig, and his sacrifice and opening up the ways for the world to have a gateway back into the traditions and the true Kemetic culture. And with that being said, my name is Tutibsaa Amir. I am one of your hosts, and I am here with...
Your co-host, Kagzrimen Psychopter. Happy to be here with you again. It's been a while. And I hope you've been well.
Kenibashu.
That's it, just Kenibashu. So we had a completely different show planned for you guys tonight. But being Gator Gates, you know, we pivot and we roll and we rock with it. And we wanted to talk about something different. So I was traveling a couple months back, and when I was traveling, I was overseas, and Ujjayi, Matthew Ruta, he's already...
Matt.
Yeah, Matthew Ruta.
What up, Matt?
Back in the mix. And while I was traveling, I was trying to get my Sudanese passport, and I happened to look up like the Sudanese passport in terms of how much power a Sudanese passport has.
Oh, you did. You went through that process.
Because someone was asking me, like, why the hell do you want a Sudanese passport if you have an American...
Can't be more powerful than the blue pamphlet.
Exactly, the American passport. And so I was like, well, you know, I want it because I'm Sudanese. It just happened to, you know, be born in the States, grow up in the States. But So I came across... a organization, an international organization called Transparency International. And what they do is they give ratings to all of the countries worldwide based on their corruption rating.
I thought you were going to say something like therapy.
Nope.
It sounds like a therapy company.
It does. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm like, let me look into this more. And they do it every year.
How did they manage to kind of like categorize the corruption levels? Like, how did they level that?
Is this like some census like thing?
Well, because...
Do they have like an internal guy in every country, like just writing things
like,
down?
can you please tell us all of the dirt?
How many times did they lie?
Yeah, like, please let us know how corrupt you are. It's like, you know, like when people talk about like whenever like a cop kills someone and then they do the investigation, they put you on the administrative leave for like a couple weeks.
Just get out of here for
and
a little
then
bit.
They're like, okay, we're going to do an investigation.
Yeah.
And then they always come back. And then they're like, okay, they didn't do anything wrong. And
he's not around to testify for himself, but he didn't do anything.
It's like the cops say, okay, well, we investigated ourselves, and we found out that we did nothing wrong.
Right.
So back to business. So then I started trying to find out more and more as to who formed this organization and where it comes from and how they get their information, right? So this is straight off their website. We can read this.
Sounds Bill Gatesy.
You said sounds like you think Bill Gates
It
behind
sounds
it?
Bill Gatesy.
All right, so it's we have one vision, a world free of corruption. Our global movement works in over 100 countries to end the injustice of corruption by promoting transparency, accountability, and integrity. And then they get right to it and they say, what is corruption? We define corruption as the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. And then they say, research. To end corruption, we must first understand it. That's why we look at what causes corruption and what works against it. And then advocacy. To end corruption, we advocate for power to be held accountable everywhere. So, me being me, I'm looking at this, right? And then I'm like, I want to know how long it takes for there to be like a so-called third world country on the list, right? Like how many of the countries that have like the best ratings are going to be European countries? And then how many of them are going to be...
When you say best, you mean like
The
corruption
worst
is high, so it's the
No,
best?
corruption, there's no
Corruption's
corruption.
low, so it's the
There's
best.
no corruption.
Okay, all right.
No.
They are the best at it.
Yeah, exactly. We couldn't find it. So, but first, let's get into their story, right? So it was founded in 1993, and
That's recent.
oh, come on, man, you can't make this up. All right, so in the early 1990s, corruption was a taboo topic, right? Many companies regularly wrote off bribes as business expenses in their tax filings, and many international agencies were resigned to the fact that corruption would sap funding from many development projects around the world. Having seen corruption's impact during his work in East Africa, retired World Bank official Peter Egan and 9 allies set up a small organization to tackle the taboo. Transparency International was established with a secretariat, I don't know, I can't pronounce that, in Berlin, the capital of a recently reunified Germany. Can you pull him up? Can they see him?
I'm about to pull it
Okay,
up.
pull him up. That guy looks like he's corrupt. So how is this guy our basis of corruption?
First off, there's something interesting there. He used to work for the World Bank.
Hold that. Hold that. That's something we're coming back to, right? So, oh, and then they have like the former UN Secretary General. Okay. So here's some of the people that that are in support of this organization. I don't know who that is, but they gave him an award. Some sort of Moroccan something, and they gave him an award in 2000. This guy's down with us. Give him an award.
Looks familiar.
Stuff.
Oliver M. Schwab, World Economic Forum. Is that like Schwab?
Like, is that a
the
Jewish name?
financial company Schwab?
That's a Jewish name, isn't it? Schwab.
And then we have the former
Be
chair
careful
of
now.
the UK Financial Services Authority.
Oh, I can't say that word.
Yeah, don't
I
get
say
us
that?
killed now. He said it, not us. If you're gonna come and kill someone, it was him. Okay, so, this is him now. He says people should be conscious that they can change a corrupt system. All right. So anyway, let's get into the ratings, right? So, no, you can't get any information from me. Okay. Let's pull them up. Can you pull them up over there too, Kenibashu?
Where are we at?
Uh, Yeah, hold on. I just had it up. Let me find it. About. Boom, boom, boom.
There's a CPI thing. I don't know how you get to it from the homepage, but somehow.
Yeah, I had it. Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you, so you can just pull it.
I got
up.
it. The Corruptions Perceptions Index.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Corruptions.
Corruption Perceptions Index. Okay.
Perceptions.
So,
Nice word.
all right. So here we go. Right.
Interesting.
Number one. Do you guys want to? Can the audience see
the
it?
audience can see it.
Oh damn! I was gonna say we should we should not tell them.
Hide it.
Yeah, we should hide it and then see who thinks what, right? Okay, so anyway, so number one, we have Denmark, okay, with a rating of 90. Number two, we have Finland. Number three, we have New Zealand. Number four, we have Norway. Number five, we have Singapore. Number six, we have Sweden.
Sweden?
Which is tied for number six, but it's technically number seven, Switzerland. And then we have Netherlands coming in at 8. We have Germany at 9. Luxembourg at number 9. Ireland at 11. Shout out to the Irish.
Hey.
Canada at 12. And who cares about Canada? Estonia 12. Australia 14. Hong Kong 14. Belgium 16. Japan, Uruguay, Iceland, Austria, France.
So are they saying France is not that corrupt?
Yeah, it's in the top. They're number 20. They're in the top 20. I can't
not
pronounce.
corrupt.
Yeah, I can't pronounce this, but Seychelles, something like that. UK coming in at 20. Barbados.
What?
You.
Get out of here. What? What?
Hold on. And then America, 24.
Oh.
Bhutan, 26. UAE, the United Arab Emirates, 26.
America should be the last.
Taiwan, 28. Chile, 29.
Yo.
And then rounding out the top 30. Oh, this is interesting. Rounding out the top 30, we have Bahamas, right? Then we have Cabo Verde, South Korea, and then at number 33, we have Israel.
Israel
But
is lower on the chart
Israel went down one.
than America.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into.
And this is recent ratings.
This is 2023. So
Yo, this is.
I
good.
started looking into it. They're like, how do we compile our stuff, right? So this is off their website.
Where is it? Where is it?
Go to click on one of the countries, and then when you click on one of the countries, next to the score, it will say C, or what does the CPI score mean?
Oh, okay.
All right. So they say, got questions about our flagship corruption perceptions index? We have you covered. Don't you worry. All right. So the CPI is the most widely used global corruption ranking in the world. It measures how corrupt each country's public sector is perceived to be according to experts and business people.
The most corrupt of them all.
Experts and business people.
Each country's score is a combination of at least 3 data sources drawn from 13 different corruption surveys and assessments. These data sources are collected by a variety of reputable institutions, including the World Bank and the World Economic Forum. And then they put a disclaimer. CPI scores do not reflect the views of Transparency International or our staff. So they immediately distance themselves from what they're doing. Okay?
Oh my God.
All right.
You can't make this up.
What is the difference between a country or territory's rank and its score? A country's score is the perceived level of public sector corruption on a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 means highly corrupt and 100 means very clean. That's why Denmark had 90. That's why Denmark came in at number 1. Wow. A country's rank is its position relative to the other countries in the index. Ranks can change merely if the number of countries included in the index changes. The rank is therefore not as important as the score in terms of indicating the level of corruption in that country.
Okay, wait.
So
there's so much to unpack here.
there's so much to unpack. I found this one night at like 2 a.m. when I was overseas, and I was just like, my mind was blown. And I had so many thoughts, and I was like, all right. I was like, we got to talk about this on Gated Gates when we get back to it. But it's so interesting, right? So what kind of corruption does the CPI measure? The data sources used to compile the CPI specifically cover the following manifestations of public sector corruption: bribery, diversion of public funds, officials using their public office for private gain without facing consequences, Congress, the Senate, and the presidents, and all politicians in America. But sorry, we'll get back to that. Ability of governments to contain corruption in the public sector, excessive red tape in the public sector.
What does that mean?
What do you mean, red tape?
Public sector.
Public sector means like
just not private business.
yeah, just like normally public sector means like as far as I know, like social stuff. So it's like stuff that normally the government wouldn't be involved in.
But they're involved in everything.
No. I think
Let's
it has
look it
more
up.
to do with like the
Let's look it up. Let's
things
be,
that the government gives
listen,
to
it's-
the public.
This isn't our stuff. It's their
not.
stuff.
This
So
definitely is not
let's see.
reflecting the views
Public
of our
sector-
staff.
not our staff. Oh, actually, we were all wrong. Public sector is the part of an economy that is controlled by the government.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're in everything though. So, so everything is public sector.
Gotta have it.
Okay, so
Yo, what?
excessive red tape in the public sector, which may increase opportunities for corruption.
These are choice
Nepo-
words up in here.
I know this is some straight up like corporate
Semantics.
BS, semantics.
Yo.
Nepotistic appointments in the civil service.
I like that word.
So nepotistic meaning like you know, have you ever heard of like the term nepo
Nepotism.
baby? Nepotism? Yeah,
I heard
so
the term. What is it again, though? What is nepotism?
nepotism.
Yeah.
It's like when it'll be like you being like it's like, have you ever heard the term nepo baby that's been coming out in terms of like Hollywood, where it's like people will talk about how certain people only get opportunities based on their familial connections.
Oh, so just favoritism.
Favoritism, using your family, like
Oh, okay.
propping up your family members as opposed to other people getting fair opportunities
Okay.
that would be considered, you know, like meritocracy. But we all know that there's no such thing as a meritocracy anywhere
Right.
in the world. But laws ensuring the public officials must disclose their finances and potential conflicts of interest. Let's go back to Congress and the United States Senate and all these politicians in America. I don't know how America is number 24 when you have no term limits for congressional positions, and like Nancy Pelosi like makes millions of dollars, and it's clear that she benefits from insider trading. But
Swagging it.
Her Senate,
wasn't- wasn't the
congressional
past
salary is very low.
Couple presidents of the United States before Trump, all involved in like the oil business.
I mean, not only are they involved in the oil business, they just are millionaires. So many of them are millionaires.
Yeah, but they're involved. Check this out. They're involved in the oil business, right? And the countries that we supposedly have problems in all have oil. You guys ever notice that?
I mean,
that's a coincidence. That's a coincidence.
Is it?
it's a coincidence that's hard
that's
to
an
not
imperialistic
notice.
coincidence.
It's a big coincidence.
Yeah, that's just what we'll call an imperialistic coincidence.
A serial imperial
Yeah, exactly.
coincidence.
All right, so let's just finish this before we get into more discussion. But legal protection. Oh, I'm sorry. Legal protection for people who report cases of bribery and corruption.
Wait, that constitutes corruption?
No, it's like So then, what do you call them? Hold on, but like, what happened to
That's
like
a
Julian
kind of
Assange?
corruption that they're
Like,
No,
what about
no,
like
no.
Julian Assange and all
No,
the
I think-
whistleblowers?
I don't think that's
they
what they're
kill
saying. I
everyone.
think they're saying like if the country gives that or allows that, then that constitutes it not being corrupt.
Yeah.
I guess.
And then state capture. This one, sounds like some straight
By narrow
BS.
vested
State capture by narrow vested interests.
Narrow vested
What does that mean?
interests. That's very
I need to
interesting
learn how
wording.
to write like this.
I mean, this is some next level.
This is legally.
like-
This is legalese.
legalese, like next level, like in your face, but like you
Like
know,
how many words can you use
exactly.
to just BS,
BS.
somebody
Uh-huh.
into the floor?
And then they have access to information on public affairs / government activities. So, thoughts, questions,
Yo, this is crazy.
comments, concerns?
I want to know what gave dude the inspiration to do this. Like, did he get fired?
Nah,
Is
you know
he
what
a
it is?
He was
whistleblower?
probably
Like,
making so much money. He's like, let me start screwing over my
Whatever,
competition.
right? Word,
Yeah,
word.
he's like corruption.
yo,
He's like, this company's corrupt.
yo, that would be
Nah, you know what?
a mastermind move.
You know, I don't think it's that. My thoughts on this is that what he's doing, because if you look at the countries that are at the top, at the so-called top, the least corrupt, countries that shouldn't even be in it, like America and these places,
Yeah.
I think these business people have, what was the word? Nepotistic. Yeah, they have
Nepotism.
nepotistic reasons for putting certain countries at the top, because they have friends in those countries who also have vested interests in companies that they all kind of probably share stocks with. And those companies, or those countries, I should say, are like the biggest shareholders of a lot of the corruption that you might see in like so-called third world countries, because they're the ones, the venture capitalists, who go into these places and pretty much cause the corruption themselves. Like, you disrupt a country, then you get people to start having civil wars against themselves. You push those people out, and then you go and extract the resources. And it's usually those big countries that are like in Europe that are behind it, but behind the scenes, because they're doing it through these different companies, and they all have stakes in these companies. So it makes sense why those countries would be at the top, because they're the ones that are hiding their corruption.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is that like, I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about how basically, I'm not gonna put her business out there, but she knows some very powerful people, and she was telling me like, this person is like very influential to the point where like the United States military paid for this individual to get college degrees because of the contributions this individual has made toward technology
advancements
that governments use in terms of military capacities. Now,
And they still want him to go to college.
they wanted him to go to college. I mean, I'm not going to say the technologies because I don't want to put my friend out there, but like, we're talking about like technologies that are being highly utilized in the war in the Middle East, technologies that are being utilized in the automotive industry right now, and things of that nature, to the point where I was like, how did you meet this person? And she was like, you know, honestly, she was like, just by happenstance. And a very influential individual, like, you know, on the level of like an Elon Musk, on the level of like a Bill Gates, in terms of that like level of stuff. And so she told me, I know this person from high school, so I asked her, I said, you know, like, what kind of conversations do you have with this individual? And she was like, I like pick his brain. Like I ask him like hard-hitting questions. And so she said to me, she asked him, how soon does the money you make become like blood money or like tainted money in your industry? And he was like, it's already tainted. Like, because
before it got to him.
like, so he's like, no, it's already tainted. But the point being is that anyone understands that like everything in the world to a certain extent is some sort of asset, including humans that have the ability to bring you things, right? So then, depending upon what your agenda is, you will protect your assets. So to me, this is nothing but a ploy to protect your assets.
Yeah.
Why not protect your assets by being like, hey, Kagzrimen, you see those people over there? I think they're impeding upon our podcast market. Kenibashu, we need to find some way to get them out of here. I mean, that's the way people function on the street, right? Like, that's the way drug dealers function. That's the way the biggest drug dealers, Big Pharma, functions. Is it's about getting with your people, making
Lobbies.
making sure your people maintain power, making sure your people maintain themselves. And how do you do that? And what I find is when you start dealing in the political arena, when you start dealing in the, you know, larger arena, it's not about force. It's not about, you know, okay, yeah, let's just go and invade the country. Like, now, the way in which you fight wars and the way in which you destroy people that might be coming against you is in other ways.
Yeah, the smear campaign never gets old.
Never.
It never gets old.
Never.
And this is like I can't lie, it's like a very beautifully done job in, you know, like really tugging on the heart of the sort of way that people's brains work. Like, because 9 times out of 10, anybody else that reads all of the information that you just read on the website is not going to think to themselves, well,
what does that mean?
what self-interest does he have in doing this? What sense would it make for him to do something like that?
You know, not to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I've noticed with like organizations like this, most people don't even go on the website, see what you just did and went on the website and like read through it and like understood it. Most people don't do that. Like a lot of people would like, I don't know, but I mean I would, but a lot of people.
Saying, most people, why would you? People just go off of perception.
For real.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, well, the World Economic Forum said we're
Go
good.
to a rally and say it 100 times,
we're
but
good.
never have looked at the info.
It's true.
It's a fact.
Sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, like, that's why they're able to like even get away with something like this. It's genius because they have an understanding of human psyche and human perception. So if I know most people are too distracted to even want to even look into what I'm actually doing here, why not do this? Because there's gonna be a lot of people who see this website and then hear about this organization and all they heard was, what, fight corruption? I'm a good person. I'm a good citizen.
I'm not
I want to
corrupt.
fight corruption.
Right.
Here's my money. Take it. Just take it. So it's genius.
Yeah.
You get to keep it and protect your assets,
And then they
all while gaining more assets.
And they also, gaining more assets through those people regurgitating the information that you've provided, which is just your own smear campaign against your
It's just like what the church did. It's just religion all over again in a different way.
I mean, it's just religious mindset just within the political arena. But the interesting thing to me is sort of like, how do you quantify everything that's happening in these countries?
Exactly.
Because they in it, bro.
But that was what sparked my interest, because it's like, that's the interesting thing about a plot like this, is that you have to, the way that you have to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to give birth to such a system that there's no way around it, right? There's no way around this, because they literally bullshit you enough to say, we're the ones making the test for corruption and the answers. And then there's nobody in between us and what's corrupt.
And by the way, we don't stand by anything we do because this doesn't reflect any of our organization at all.
Exactly.
So
nobody on the staff,
catch you later.
nobody that works for the actual organization that's putting this information out is standing by this information, but you should believe it because it's true.
Exactly.
Like, what? So it's a perfect plan, and it and it seems to be working perfectly because there is no filter in between. Like, you're the judge, jury, executioner in this case. So
let's dig it. Let's dig in a little
Dig a
further.
little
There's more.
So the chair of Transparency International is Francois Valerian.
That
Let's
just
look him up.
sounds like an evil villain in a story.
Francois Valois.
Whilst the diamond James Bond.
It sound like that sounds like who's behind the mask from V for Vendetta. Francois Valerian.
He sounds like the guy that, like, when they're giving James Bond the breakdown of like who he has to go fight in the
I see
movie,
his face.
and they're like Francois Valerian. I mean, all right, hold on. Let's see. Let's look him up on X or Twitter. Oh, I don't have it on my computer, so it's not letting me. Come on, Elon. But okay, let's see. He's French. If the name didn't give that away already. And let's see. What?
Sacre bleu.
What does that
Yeah,
mean,
what does that
sir?
mean?
It literally means blue, but I think they also use it as like what the fuck, like what the hell, like kind of thing.
In French?
Yes, I've
Yeah.
heard that before.
I've never heard that before.
Really?
No, I mean, I'm the worst person to talk to about French. So, like, my level of French. Actually, is it? No, it's already passed. I was gonna say he's doing a talk in March, but that already passed. I said maybe we can go to his talk. It's hard to kind of find information on him. He's on LinkedIn. Maybe someone
He
can
got a
look him
Twitter.
up. Yeah, I know he has a Twitter, but I don't have a Twitter.
Yeah.
Damn, it's kind of hard. But the thing is, this is like you're never gonna be able to find information on somebody like this. Like that's the thing is that like real people that have positions of power. He has an IMDb. What was he in movies? What was he in?
He's a plant.
I mean,
I don't
he
think
looks like.
that's
it's-
not. No, it's not.
How many Francois Valerians are there in the world?
They can't, I don't know, but they cannot be.
Like he has an IMDb.
He was in Team Galaxy in 2008.
He's Team Galaxy for corruption. I'm making sure that corruption doesn't reach.
Ew, what?
He made a short film. If it's the same guy, he made a short film about
Let it
a
be.
little boy is harassed at school. When he looks himself in the mirror,
Misinformation.
he sees himself through
Gator
the
Gates is
insult.
now number one on the
Oh, we're gonna be on their
corruption
corruption
index.
list. Gator Gates.
So that movie's a documentary of his childhood.
I don't know. You're more than welcome to watch it and then come back and tell us. But he's on a website called Who's Who in France. But it's in French, so I don't know. But
I think you can translate it, can't you?
oh yeah, you can Google. Yeah, you're right. But it doesn't give us any information. General mining engineer. So he's a general mining engineer that became the
Excuse me now.
person that runs.
You said what?
So I'm getting distracted by the questions. Let's hop in the questions. I know you guys missed us, so let's engage with everybody. All right. So Matthew Ruta is asking, can anyone clarify if there are any other ways to watch live outside of the YouTube and Instagram live stream? For now, no. This is how you're gonna have to reach us. We do have a Rumble, but
We'll get there, Matt. We're working on it.
we're working on it, but there's no way
We
to
see
escape
you,
the
man.
corruption. You gotta reach out to
Everywhere you go, judgment.
you gotta reach out to
Oliver says that movie is the story of the beginning of his villain arc. Thank you. You got the joke.
you gotta go to Transparency International
Thank you,
for us.
Oliver.
Okay, so we have. Hold on. Warrior Zulbukande, Chem Warrior said, "What happened? You guys disappeared." We did not disappear. We were just taking some time off. But We like to do things dramatically, so we're back. We just didn't want to, let you guys know because we're just, dramatic. But Words of Bukande asks, what is the goal of KEPTA concerning African cultural diversity? What is the goal of KEPTA concerning African cultural diversity? You're going to have to clarify that a bit for us because I don't know what you mean by African cultural diversity.
Yeah, what is that?
I think he means like different ethnic groups, if that's what he means. I'm not sure.
I know where Zubukande is there, so he'll clarify for us. But then his next question is, what is your opinion about French and NATO plans for recolonization of Africa? And can Africa repel this invasion? What plans are you talking about in particular? Again, you're going to have to give us a bit more context, where Zubukande, as much as we missed you, you got to give us a little bit more context. DeMarcus is asking, who wins, Usyk or Fury? Do you guys have an opinion?
What? What is that?
Tyson Fury, and you guys don't watch boxing?
No.
Oh. There's
Who's better, Tutibsaa?
Who's better? I mean, it's probably going to be Tyson Fury. He's like 6'7", 200 and something pounds. He's like 260 pounds.
He's LeBron boxing, right?
I mean, Alexander Usyk is he came up from cruiserweight weight class, and he's trying.
Sounds Russian.
He's Ukrainian.
Same
Ukrainian,
thing.
but
Same
it's
thing.
the same thing, whatever.
Basically.
But don't tell that to Russians and the Ukrainians.
Well, I think the Russians know. It's the Ukrainians that don't understand.
Yeah, I mean,
it's stories for other days.
The Ukrainians are they're from the West now.
Yeah.
Like everything that they're doing, they're doing in their
Americans now.
wars, coming from the West and coming from Europe. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a betting guy. I don't like to place bets, but if I was gonna put money, I would have to put it on Fury because he's just, just a really good boxer.
Is that his real name?
Tyson Fury, yeah. It's an amazing name.
It's an
for
amazing
a
boxing name, yeah.
But I would have to put it on Fury. But it's boxing, and maybe Usyk can outpoint him, but I don't see Usyk knocking out Fury at all. Then here we go. So what is a good way to rate a country's corruption? Would it be to look at who is upholding indigenous land and cultural rights? I mean, the thing is that if we're really gonna get into kind of the basis of governments, and we're really gonna talk about what a government is, then we have to talk about the origin of where these so-called governments come from and what they're based on, and the model that they come from, and where that model even came from. Because I mean, I know a lot of people have kind of ruined the conversation surrounding the basis of governments, because a lot of people just start throwing out kind of buzzwords and things that they know will kind of rile people up, and they'll be like, well, all the governments are based on Kemet. And then when people say that, people maybe have a connotation that they associate in their mind where they think it's just some Hotep speak. Or they just are like, oh God, here comes the guy with the kufi talking about how it all comes from Kemet.
With a bottle of water this big, about to pour libation.
Yeah. And then, man, one time I was no, don't get me distracted about libation. Yeah, but I was a part of a libation that was quite comical one time, and I was just like, we're all gonna get cursed by ancestors based on the way this guy is pouring libation right now. But anyway, so
yeah, shoes on.
he had his shoes on. It was bad. But anyway, you know, to kind of sidestep that and kind of give the proper context, you got to understand that these are structures that have an origin point that were based on a model that did not come from human beings. So when you want to talk about governments, or you want to talk about, you know, the original structure that humanity was utilizing, it was based on another dimension that wasn't coming from human beings, that was allowing us to direct ourselves and to fit into the larger existence as we know it. So governments in and of themselves are based on that model, but that original model had certain things in place that ensured that corruption was kept in check in a very particular kind of way. But when you have something that's removed from the original model and then becomes a copy of the copy from that original model, then you basically start finding yourself in situations where today, if I'm whoever and I'm running the show, I get to decide how I want to do it, when I want to do it, and then I can make up the rules as I go along. Because anybody that has a working brain understands the way that just because it's lawful or it's legal doesn't make it right. And you can make anything lawful if you know the right people. Because just because you're not breaking laws, and ultimately when we're talking about laws, you're just talking about man-made constructs, a man-made rule.
Perceptions.
So it boils down to what the basis of the structure is founded upon. And the basis of the original structure is founded upon principles that are coming from the divine and fitting into the divine model. But that has been far removed from what we have today, to the point where it's just a free-for-all.
It really is. I was actually having a conversation with a good friend of mine, like a childhood friend, and you know, he's found Islam in his, you know, spiritual travels and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And he was having a conversation with somebody else, another one of my good friends, and they called me and he was like, "Nah, every time we have a conversation like this, we be trying to find out like the truth about stuff and yada yada." And he was like, "We always think about what you think about it." So he was running all these questions about me, you know, do you believe this? Do you believe that? Is this the truth? Is that the truth? And it was interesting because I'm like, man, the way that and I was, you know, talking to him about it. I'm like, it's so interesting the way that your line of questioning is sort of in an indirect way, readily like attacking something else because of this doubt in the belief of something else, rather than this like quest for very simple informational things that you can follow and trace back. Right? He was kind of like throwing out like what makes you think that, or what did you come across when you were in your travels with the Dogon that made you believe that they had the truth? And I was like, it never happens like that. There's literal things that somebody's grandfather taught their son something. Now that son had a son, and now I'm in contact with that son, right? Now that son is standing on his grandfather's principles because his father taught him exactly what his father taught him, and his father, so on and so forth. All I want is those results for myself. None of the other things around it matter as much as that. I just want those results for myself.
Is it working?
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it really boils down to. And a big topic that we ended up talking about was how when you do become removed, like if I'm just being honest, I explained it to him. Like I was like, following Islam is like, to me, because this is my man's. We know each other.
You keeping it real.
I'm just keeping it real with him because he was asking me like hard-hitting questions, and I didn't want to avoid him. So I was just like, all right, look at it this way, right? If you yourself understand that Islam didn't come before the African traditions, right? Then you could say that like maybe the African traditions is like the grandfather, and then you could say Islam is like a cousin that used to follow.
It's a stepchild.
It's
It's a child.
Somebody that's
a child.
removed.
Yeah, that's a child.
Right?
Yeah.
From the grandfather.
It's not even a stepchild. That's a full blown. That's Moses.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the Pharaoh's son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, so if you understand that the grandfather exists and that the cousin or the stepchild, whatever, they're removed from the grandfather's tradition, but somehow they make sense together. He kept bringing up the fact that like everything you saying sound like Islam, and I was like, yo,
I wonder why.
bro, like so. But the thing is, we're so like even. So many, because coming from like an urban neighborhood, like being in Newark, a lot of people turn to Islam after.
The hood? Why'd you say urban?
Whatever.
You're reading the international transparency website too much. You said coming from an urban neighborhood.
All right. David Letterman.
Sorry.
Whatever,
Keep going.
So,
This is coming from an urban area that white people would not consider safe.
It's the pants. It's the pants, bro. That's
Yeah,
what.
it's gotta be pants. It's gotta be the golf pants. It's gotta be. I just feel like he's about to be like 4. Oh yeah, keep going.
okay.
Going.
So the
Oh yeah, keep going. My bad.
so yeah, coming from the hood, right?
Thank you.
The ghetto.
Don't deny your roots, brother.
A lot of brothers end up, turning to Islam after they get locked up. Cause Islam is heavy in jail. Like I got a few uncles that was like, hey, I did it for protection, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, they get in there and it's like, all right, I gotta get down with the ones that got the power. So yeah, I was like, man, you see how many people turn to Islam after being incarcerated, and then they come out, and then you have this like half and half thing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm still half a thug, or I'm still like in the streets.
Yeah.
But somehow now I'm not even a righteous thug. It's just like I go when Eid happens and like the feasts are happening, everybody's in the park taking pictures with their kufis and the garb on, I'm there. But every other day, even when I'm fasting, I'm kind of fasting. I'm like,
It sounds like the plot for South Central.
yeah. And it's not a knock. It's not a knock to like people's humanity, because we all still got things that we working on. But it's kind of like you could always be half in, half out. It doesn't really matter as much as just knowing that you believe that Allah is your savior and your God. That's what matters the most, as long as you believe that. And once I broke down to him that like that sort of way of having your freedom but also being a part of something that binds you is just a breakaway from the African traditions, because I wouldn't go out and give a lecture on anything that I know without technically telling the crowd first, like, this isn't mine. I'm gonna give reverence to the ancestors and the ones who came before me that gave it to me, to let the people know that this is where it's coming from. So if you ever want to reference it, don't reference me. Reference this thing that's behind me, because it goes far back into antiquity. But, that's not a value that is in the modern world anymore. You kind of get the information that you get, and then it doesn't necessarily manifest itself as like a wisdom or a change in your life, because it's just you now. You get to go out into the world as that individual who has the information, and you can do whatever you want with it. But there's no accountability on the back end, because you don't feel like there's anything that's behind you that you have to take into account. So, you know, what you're saying is it's a big thing. It's a big like gap. It's like a lapse that's built into the way that we think now.
You know, to add on to that, it's funny because everything you just said, as you were saying it, I was thinking about when you brought up governments and like what governments are and what they were, like where they come from. And it just kind of shows you the fragility of like the human psyche, because everything has an origin point, right? So everything comes from something, it comes from somewhere. But it's almost like, you know, if like maybe the three of us sit here, get together, and like something happens, right? Something happens between us, and then maybe one of us goes out and tells somebody else what happens, but then that person who we told then goes and tell somebody else, but then they tell it wrongly. Mm-hmm. Like they don't tell the full story. Mm-hmm. Then now, you know, you have a person out there who doesn't have the full scope of the information. Then they go and tell somebody else, and then they tell it their own way.
Now it's the game of
and
telephone.
Then now it's a game of telephone, and it's like the same kind of situation, even with that whole idea of like government, because even like people would take that word and like twist it, like govern, like control, and like meant like your mind, and say, oh, the government's just trying to control your mind, which is not wrong. It's true, but then you got to ask yourself, why is that? Why is those words being used? And it's like when you lose the history of things, that's when like it's easy to have corruption. And I say all that to say, like, of course governments are corrupt, because at their very inception or conception, they were already on faulty grounds. Like, you're not gonna get anything else than corruption. So this index, it doesn't even make sense. Everything is corruption. The whole system itself is built on corruption, because from the beginning it's been built on shaky grounds. And to answer Warrior Zul Bakande's question, he clarified tribal groups in Africa. It's sort of like what we're saying. Like, you can have 100 different ethnic groups in Africa, but when you really look at what they're saying historically in those tribes, you can find the similarities in the story. You can see that there's like an origin point. So for us in Kebta, there's not really necessarily a conflict with other so-called ethnic groups, because I think traditionally African spirituality or African ethnic groups have that understanding that there's like that similar origin point.
That was another
there's
big
like
thing.
Principles that we all have to adhere to. So there's not going to be any conflict between any of us.
Word. And
At least if we're really standing on how things were originally. But if not, that's when you start to see corruption and infighting and wars and all these different things.
Yeah, that was another topic that, you know, I talked to my mans in depth about, just like how, like if I live near the beach and you live inland, we live two different lives. Like your life is just gonna look different than mine. So that's nature. That's just the nature that you live in. That's a part of your nature now. So automatically your spirituality is going to look a little bit different. You don't have water from the sea to grab, to pour with. You have maybe water from a river, and if there's no river, then you got to find something else.
You dig it
to get that divine manifestation or whatever you're looking for. So that's, you know, it's crazy how like it's so simple to explain something like that once you know, but like without that kind of understanding, it's just like your mind goes so many places, and it's just like, well,
it's aliens. The Anunnaki.
It must have been the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki did it.
Well, just to kind of touch on the religion part and like the Islam thing, is like when you really start talking about the history of Islam, then you know that, and I mean you guys can look this up, then you know that even Muhammad had people who, and Muhammad's considered the prophet of Islam, or like Jesus of Islam, and he was relying on someone in particular that was, you know, doing the stuff for him
Bilal.
in Islam.
Bilal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Bilal.
just say it clear for people.
Huh.
Bilal. That's how you say it, right? Or Bilal.
I don't know.
Are you asking me?
I don't know. That's how I say it, man. I might be saying it wrong. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, you can look that up, and I'll just leave that there without going into it too much because we'll be here all day. But then also just speaking on the like telephone game of religion. Have you guys seen the movie The Book of Clarence?
Yeah, yo, that movie was great. It was hilarious, bro.
Listen, I watched that.
Clan.
I watched that. I finished it on the plane right, when I was coming back to New Jersey last week, and so I hadn't got to the end, like where they're crucifying everyone. Spoiler alert, by the way. Spoiler alert. And so then, when they put the white guy on the cross,
That was hilarious.
you know, they have the white guy on the cross, and then they're saying, the Clarence is like, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." And then the white guy goes, "No, kill all of these people." He's like, "Fire and brimstone will suffice." And then he's like, "Especially that prick painting me."
Right.
And then they cut to him.
Painting the white Jesus.
But
No, before that, the part that had me was when Jesus gave him the coins and then he got money, so he went to get a haircut
So
because he was a
get
bum.
cleaned up,
He
yeah.
got cleaned up, right? And then the lady in the salon was like, "It's the Messiah." And the other lady was like, "What?" He was like, "Just look, he's just so white and pure."
Oh man.
he's gotta be him.
Oh god.
I mean, I don't want to give the movie away, but it's
Cut
interesting.
the check.
It's interesting because it's about like how in religion, or not even in religion, it just like at that time, because of like what certain people were capable of doing, whether it be Jesus. I mean, Jesus wasn't the only person that was capable of those things, because Jesus was an initiate and
A disciple of himself.
a disciple of himself, right?
No, I'm
And,
saying in general, like,
Yeah, he came from something.
watch the movie.
Yeah, watch the movie. And the interesting thing is the way, because I kept wondering, like, where is this movie gonna go? Because the way it starts, I'm thinking it's just going to be like, you know, just some guy that's gonna act like the Messiah. But then once you get to the end of the movie, I was like, that's brilliant. I was like, that's brilliant, because it's touching on the fact that in, you know, any human endeavor, there's the human aspect that you have to account for. And you have to account for the fact that human beings are going to somehow ruin this.
It's gonna be ridiculous
Somehow.
every time.
Like somehow, like human beings are going to ruin it. And it's so, all I can say is watch the film and touching on like what you were speaking about, because it just comes to reinforce what you were talking about in terms of that game of telephone, and then how like the depiction of Jesus came about. And I was sitting here saying to myself, I was like, that's probably the most realistic. Probably I wasn't there.
Right.
None of us were there.
Right.
But if you had to imagine how it actually went down during that time,
Exactly.
I'm like, it probably went down like that. So watch that. Shout out to the people that did the Book of Clarence. And so Kevin Warrior is saying that French and NATO wants to bring democracy to the Sahel region in 5 to 10 years. I mean, didn't they already kick them out? So I don't know if you're touching on something that's already kind of like being
Who
uprooted.
is Zubukandi? What you know that we don't know?
Yeah, like because they already kicked them. They already kicked them out.
I mean, I
So-
guess they could try to come back in.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I don't know.
Nah, I think that isn't Russia involved now?
And trying to
In the Sahel region?
Yeah.
yeah, they doing the the nuclear energy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
said
but
what,
also I think Russia is also sending like troops to like
Oh,
protect certain things
I mean,
and even help to
yeah,
train some of the
vested
troops in
interests.
Africa.
NATO, protect your interests. And NATO, I'm surprised NATO isn't on this Transparency International list. Oh wait, it is. We can see
Is
what
it?
countries
Which-
make up NATO, and then we can see.
Your brain is working.
What number?
We can see.
What number?
Yeah, we can see what number.
What
Let's see.
collective numbers?
How about you call out the NATO countries? No. Keep the list up for people.
Okay.
I'll call out the NATO countries. NATO members. Let's see. Member countries. All right. We have United States,
Of course.
United Kingdom,
Of course.
France,
Of course.
Germany,
Not surprised.
and we have our number 1 rated country, Denmark, Finland,
All in bed
France,
together?
Luxembourg,
Oh!
Spain. Let's see, Sweden, Portugal.
You don't say.
Poland.
No way.
Italy.
For real?
Oh man, who would have thought? I mean, Canada, Belgium, Greece.
What?
What kind of
Not Greece.
So what kind of trickery is this? Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
You sneaky bastards.
What kind of game is being played that NATO and the Economic World Forum and the World Bank and all of these organizations would be in it together? The
Dun,
United
dun,
Nations.
dun.
But we're just conspiracy theorists.
In the name of Jesus. What is this?
In the name of Clarence.
In the name of Clarence. Yeah, that's true. We're going to call on Clarence from now on. Warrior Zubukande is asking, what is Kepta's opinion on tarot card readings? You guys can take this one.
Kenibashu, you can handle that one.
No, you do it. No, I want you to do it. I'm
Well,
Come on, Kagzrimen.
I mean, I'll
You're the
be fair.
perfect one
yeah,
to
I'll be
answer
fair.
the
just
question.
be fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing with tarot card readings, like, it was actually something that was traditional
You're showing
in Europe.
My bad.
I think the gypsies are the ones who brought it there. So there is some truth to it
I mean, come
back
on.
then. But
Then give the full context if you're going to say that, because then you're going to have people out here like, I got
Well,
my Kepta tarot card.
no. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
So make sure you clarify for people.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there was some validity to it. All I'm saying is it was a traditional thing by certain groups of people in Europe, but during the time when the church was coming to power, they pretty much burned people at the stake, calling them witches for doing those kind of things. So those things were kind of like discarded in a way or lost. And then you have new age people now who are taking it up and are using it as like a way of divination. But
It's like a Russian roulette
yeah,
divination.
it's not. I wouldn't recommend it. Is what I would say.
Why not?
Well,
Why?
well, again, it's not the traditional tarot card readings that were from antiquity.
But what's the problem? Because I can go get a tarot card reading on, I
I mean, hey, you do whatever
I
you
got
want.
to download Instagram
You do
first.
whatever you want.
But I could go get a tarot card reading right now, and it could be, $5, $10.
It's cool.
So what's wrong?
Nothing wrong with that.
But I mean, a divination's a divination, right?
Sure.
As long as it's a divination.
I guess.
But I mean, isn't that a form of divination, though? Tarot cards?
If you call it that, I don't know. I don't know nothing about tarot
I'm
cards.
trying to give you an alley
He said, I
and
don't
you're
know
not
nothing
taking
about
it.
it.
But no, it's not. It's not. Honestly, really and truly, it's not. It's not something that I would recommend to anyone. If you're actually trying to get like actual like help, or like you have a real issue or a real problem, something like tarot cards is not what you need, because tarot cards, I think what they're mainly trying to do, because I've had a tarot card reading before, and it's funny how I had one. So we had an Earth
Here we
We
Center.
got to
go.
give a
Here
disclaimer.
we go.
It's not a, It is.
It's really
so we
what?
had an Earth Center booth, right? This is when we was doing an event in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So there was this lady across from our table.
Better hope she don't remember you.
Better hope she's not watching.
I doubt she's watching.
Got the cards
But
in her hand.
she came over, right?
Judgment.
And she was like, "Oh my God, what is this? I feel called over here. And I'm like, well, if you feel called over here, it must be for a reason.
Okay.
So, I started explaining to her what Kebta is. I started explaining to her the calendar and everything. She looked at me and was like, oh, well, this is a bit much. And she was like, well, I have a booth over here, which if you want, you can step over. I was like, all right, I'll come over there. So I went over there to be polite, And then she was like,
Let me get out of here.
well, I'm going to give you a tarot card reading. And I was like,
For free?
I was like, for free? She's like, yes. I'm like, why? She's like, well, I just want to give you a tarot card reading so you could spread the word. Really and truly, she wasn't getting any customers. Like, she wasn't making any sales. Like, nobody was going over there to get tarot card readings. So I just basically gave her a oblige, and I was like, okay, cool, you can read my tarot, whatever. So she starts doing her card thing or whatever, and she starts putting things down, and she starts saying this. And she's asking me questions, and she's like, it's all, when somebody's fishing because they don't know something? That's essentially what she was doing the whole time.
She was like, you look like you take care of your hair.
Yeah, it's like questions like that. Like simple-minded questions like that.
You don't say.
He's like, are you pursuing a new love in this moment?
You're like,
In my mind, I'm like,
I don't believe in love.
It's crazy. I'm like, yes, I am. How did you know? She was like, boom, boom, boom. Are you having troubles in your career?
Yes.
Yes.
For a long time.
Absolutely.
I need
For a
more
very
money.
long time.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, so what's the solution? And then that's when she looked at me. She was like, I
want a refund.
Let me call somebody else.
It's okay. So then I started to explain to her a little bit about M-Tom and about I was like, look, if you ever, want to get a reading, we have traditional African readings. And she was like, what is that? So I explained a little bit about M-Tom to her and about how, it's using the energies of the earth, and the earth is what recognizes you because you're born on earth, you die on earth.
Yes.
So your whole information, everything about you is through the earth. So the earth knows that. And the priest is the medium between the earth and you. So she looked at me and was like, wow, I've never experienced anything like that. And I was like, I can tell. but long story short, what I'm saying is the tarot card reading thing is really just a gimmicky thing. Honestly, it's not what it's chalked up to be.
I mean, if you just use your intelligence, you give me a deck of cards and tell me I'm a psychic, I'm gonna feel like the deck of cards is always gonna tell me what you need to hear.
It's a mental thing.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, it came from something.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
based on something.
of
so-
course.
But it's that same thing again, like telephone.
Exactly.
The corruption of things.
Exactly.
I mean, we need to start a international transparency thing on divination forms. And we need to rank the divination forms. But then we have a question from Medicata. Can you guys shed some light on the traditional governments and how they differ from the modern ones we see today? We can't, but you can. Really kind of said no. She's manning the one of the feeds for us. She can't. But I mean, I don't know if one of you guys want to touch on it.
I mean, to go back to the point that I was making earlier about the differences between different regions and stuff like that. The real point is that
question.
no matter where you are, it's always about referring back to the largest thing that's always holding everybody accountable, which is nature. At the end of the day, like Kagzrimen was saying, the earth is where you place your feet every single day. Like, you don't go anywhere else. You don't live anywhere else. There's no other real reality for you as a human being. Like, everything exists here on earth. So there has to be some sort of dialogue between you and the earth, right? Like, people maybe would call it luck sometimes, but we might see it as timing, or just this understanding that you have this relationship with the earth, and then the earth has a relationship with all of these other celestial bodies and everything else in the universe. So if the dialogue is that widespread, then when it comes to what you're following, it's really more so about like a principle or principles that you can see throughout, no matter what, no matter where you go. And then those natural principles become the guidelines for humanity being able to manifest some kind of like order in your life. You know, everybody comes with a mother and a father. They're like two things that you can't go around. That's a part of the order in your life. And then they had a mother and father, and then like traditional kingships and things like that. There's regions, you know, there's a king for specific regions, and then every king reports to somebody that's higher on the hierarchy than them.
Like a governor.
Exactly. So I would just say that in the traditional sense, it has nothing to do with anything that's coming from a human being. It's just about understanding like natural principles and what certain people are born with and how you fit into the community at large. But you don't dictate those things, so they don't have anything to do with like your opinion as a human being. Whereas in our world as we know it now, it's like that's what everything is based on. Everything is based on somebody's opinion. This whole website you explained, it's just this one dude is like, you know what? Be a good idea
He
to do
doesn't even
this.
stand by it.
But hey, this isn't actually my opinion.
But he knows people will. That's all. That's it.
Exactly.
That's all that matters.
Just a great game of
Because
semantics.
You got NATO and the World Economic Forum and the UN and all these other institutions that we have no idea where they come from, backing, you know, the validity of it. And I mean, just piggybacking off of what you were saying, it comes down to nature, right? And it comes down to the fact that what you would consider a traditional government is rooted in nature. So if you think you can kind of skirt the powers of nature in a traditional government sense, then you're fooled. Because how can you kind of lie to things that can see you and you can't see it, that are created by entities that don't die? Like, you can't go lie to a rock, right? You can't go lie to a river.
Right.
You can't go lie to a tree. And at the end of the day, it comes down to what is behind and what's in the foundation and the basis of whatever you consider your governing bodies. And it boils down to the fact that traditional governments are rooted in fitting into nature and fitting into a larger existence and a larger context and a existential circumstance that you can't remove yourself from. Whereas that modern governments are based on, you know, I think we should change that today because I feel like making this or doing
My
this
little
or
cousin
getting
said they
that.
don't like it.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it should be 45 miles per hour here. I think it should be 10 miles.
Right.
Or I think we should do this, or I think we should do that. And so it becomes something that is human in its essence, where you're just deciding what you want it to be arbitrarily.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big difference because the traditional governments don't come from human beings, and it's about human beings fitting into a larger existential structure that's rooted within nature. Whereas that modern governments are about what should it be and how do we want to do it. Mm-hmm. So it's far removed from fitting into nature and the larger existential reality as we know it. And it's whatever you want it to be when you want it to be. Yeah. And then we have a question: what is a Kemetic revolution and what is its goal?
I would say, simply put, a Kemetic revolution is really going back to everything that Kenibashu and Tutibsaa was just talking about. Like going back to nature, understanding your place in time and space, understanding like where we fit as human beings on this very planet that is feeding us. Because right now the world is very much not balanced. It's out of balance. It's chaotic, and it's only chaotic in this way simply because human beings are no longer living according to those natural principles and those natural realities. So really, a comedic revolution is just getting back to that. Does it mean that everybody is necessarily gonna become initiates? Probably not, but at least we can do our part to spread our ancestral knowledge and our ancestral ways across the world, because that's really what's gonna save us, because that's what was even giving us the stability we need to fit into the existential reality in the first place. Otherwise, if you're being honest, as human beings, we just mess it up, which is what we're doing right now.
Book of Clarence.
Yeah, this is what we're doing right now, and it's really getting back like to family. Like that's the real goal, getting back to like what it really means to be a family man or a family woman. Like getting back to that original structure, like as nature intended.
And then we have, this is more so a comment than a question, but I would love to hear more, Oliver. Tarot cards are for emulating Yu-Gi-Oh.
I like Oliver. Is he new?
I choose you.
Well, Oliver was asking when will online initiation open back up. He said he doesn't live near a temple, unfortunately. I think it's going to be happening soon. I don't know. Maybe within the next season or so.
Just brought back childhood memories.
Yeah. Just stay with us, and we'll let you know when it happens. We'll make an announcement on the show, definitely, when we have the information. Then there's a next question from Mista, which is, what makes a divination different from tarot? Or I know you're trying to say Santeria, but you said Santa Maria. What makes a divination different from tarot or Santeria or voodoo? I know you're itching to take this one.
No, I'm not itching to take it.
Yeah, I know you want that question.
Do I? I mean, I'll take it.
Bring fire on them.
You didn't deny it.
I'll take it.
Bring
I'll take
fire.
it. Well, let's clear up divination. Like, what is divination really? Like, that's the thing.
Asking them?
I mean, yeah. I'm asking
Are you
anyone.
expecting them to get back to you?
I was expecting you or somebody to get back to
They
you.
gonna call you.
Well, do you want me to okay, you don't want me to answer for real. You want me to give you like a fake
gonna
audience
give me
member
the alley-oop?
answer?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah. Divination. I mean, what are you dividing nations? Like, what is it? I don't know.
That's funny. But nah, on a real though, when somebody says they're divinizing something, like really and truly, it's the word divinize. To divinize something is to almost like make something like divine, or to tap into like something that is like unseen or something natural. We use the word divination, but technically, I wouldn't say that even what we do is even divinizing anything, because when we're talking about like something like the planet Earth, we're talking about the very thing that feeds all life in existence, for us at least. When we're talking about ourselves in relation to other beings on this planet, seen and unseen, then you have to understand that we're talking about something that in itself is divine. So how can we divinize what is already divine? I think that's the kind of the confusion with divination and really understanding, like tapping in, because technically what we do per se with MTOM is we tap in to Earth. You can't divinize what is already divine. And with some other systems, they're trying to make something divine. They're trying to get something from the non-material. But once again, with MTOM, you don't really do that per se. Now, to go with something like Santeria or voodoo, I don't really understand what you mean by that per se, because to my knowledge, I don't what would divination in voodoo be, or in Santeria?
Well, I think
It would be cowrie shells, wouldn't it?
not necessarily. I think he's kind of conceptualizing those as things removed from divination. Does that make sense? So he's asking what makes divination different from tarot, Santeria, or voodoo, because he's conceptualizing voodoo as a divination practice or something that you would utilize in terms of spiritual technology that's different from a divination.
Okay, so
And then Santeria and tarot.
okay, so just to put it that way, then, if that's the question, I would say this: Santeria and voodoo, they're traditional African systems, who also utilizes their own ways of divination. But again, the term divination is used very wrongly. Like, we use it because it's familiar in the West.
Very loosely used.
But the way I just described it is pretty much how we understand it to be. So we wouldn't necessarily call what we do in those systems divination per se, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, it also, just to kind of, to piggyback off of what you were saying, is essentially whatever you're quantifying as tarot, Santeria, and voodoo is technically a divination in and of itself. But it's a form that's being classified or categorized as like a practice per se. But it's a derivative of the original form of divination that adjusted itself depending upon whatever the medium was utilizing at the time. Whereas that when you talk about voodoo, because when we talk about voodoo, or when we're talking about voodoo in the sense of like on the street or within the religious sense, like people will quantify or conceptualize voodoo as like, oh, you're doing like manipulation of energies that are evil, that are against the practices of God.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Or you're doing that like ancestral evil stuff. Or if someone's talking about Santeria, that's just like the...
Or Satanism, they'll call it that.
Yeah. Santeria is just the... I don't remember where Santeria is from exactly, but...
It's just
the
the
same thing, just from a
Christianized
different
version of voodoo.
I don't remember where it's from, but it's from like a specific...
Colombia,
region.
Cuba,
I think so.
like the Latin, Spanish-speaking countries.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think what they did was they just mixed the Christian saints. Instead of using the deities, they started using the saints to hide the deities. So that's how you get Santeria. So instead of like me calling on like Ogun, I'm calling on like Saint Michael or Saint Peter or something. But really it's Ogun, but disguised as Michael, because at the time they were being persecuted by the slavers or the slave masters. So they had to figure out ways to hide it.
So then, I hope that's clear. Then the next question is, would Kepta, A&H Life, Projects of Medita, and Sauce Hot Sauce ever get a third party to audit and certify ethical and sustainable practices and targets for those skeptical to the organization and its mission?
What the hell?
Like
That's a big shot.
Like we pay taxes like everybody else. Like we have accountants, and we don't exist in some like vacuum of like
Matthew,
no
you working with
oversight.
transparency?
Yeah, like no oversight. Like yes, we exist within the system as well, within their respective, you know, channels that we have to respect in order to be here. As
It's
we
already
know it.
being done, sir.
So like, yeah, I mean, of course. And if you think the government or whoever doesn't have like their eyes on us, like
They do.
we pay taxes to the IRS. We have books. We have everything, you know. And yeah, you're more than welcome if you want to call those people, Matthew, or if you want to come and audit us. You're more than welcome. We enjoyed your time with us last time in New Jersey. And you're
When
more
we
than
get our
welcome to come back.
transparency committee together, we'll put you
Exactly.
first on the
Let me
list.
just say this to you though,
We
Matt.
should hire Matt to be our transparency person.
He'd be great.
Nah, for real, let me say this to you, Matt. The truth is, the sad reality is, no matter who you are, as a human being, you're gonna have to fit into something. Like, as long as you find yourself on this planet or you find yourselves around people, you're gonna have to fit into things. Like, certain things I don't like. Like I might not like I said, like if you go on a job interview or you're gonna go do work somewhere, you gotta fit in because you have to wear the uniform. So technically, us doing that stuff is just us wearing the uniform. That's not us. When we go home and we're something else. But when we're at work, we just have to wear the uniform. That's it. You just gotta have to learn to do that. Like there's no real escape from, how do you say, the system, as people want to say it.
Of course.
Like those ideas of people trying to like escape and people trying to find like safe spaces and safe havens, it's not really sustainable, and it's not really real, because even to do that, you need money. Where you gonna get money from? You get what I'm saying?
Bingo.
Like money is a part of the reality of the system you're in. I mean, you there's no way around it. So I get it. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. You know, not want to partake in this, not want to partake in that, but there's just no way around it. Like, no matter what you can think of, like we just said it, the government itself is corrupt. Everything within it is automatically corrupt because it's coming from something on shaky grounds. The system is corrupt. Money is corrupt. Birthdays are corrupt. Weddings are corrupt. Parties are corrupt. The bar is corrupt. The doctor is corrupt. Everything is corrupt. You can't find any space that is not corrupt. Like, there's no way you can hide. There's no way you can hide. You just have to learn how to maneuver through it. That's it. Put on your white, do your Zemzem, purify yourself, and maneuver through the filth. That's all you can do.
The next question is from Faisal Emmanuel, and it is, how did the Kemetic world dealt with corruption back then, and how do we deal with it in our modern times? Well, clearly, Transparency International is how we deal with it. And how did the Kemetic world deal with corruption back then? I mean, when you say corruption, I just need you to be a bit more specific, because human beings in and of themselves, within their nature, are corrupt.
There you go.
So it's sort of like how you deal with that is in a very specific way. So then it's sort of like, are you talking about the Kemetic governments? How was corruption dealt with back then? That was, you know, like I said, coming from something that was outside of the human world, which was the world of the divine. So if you're talking about the Kemetic government in the sense of like the pharaohships, then there were specific things in place to ensure the purity or the upstanding position, or how should I put it, like the upholding of that position. But you know, that's a conversation for another day. We're not going to go into that.
Just remember something funny.
We're not going to go into that here.
You ever seen like one of those videos? Not even just videos. I mean, we've seen stuff like this in person, but for people who haven't, like, you ever seen like one of those videos online of like in Africa somewhere, maybe somebody stole something, so that they're doing something to figure out who stole it.
Brooms.
Yeah, they get the broom, or they get like the 2 sticks, and then they wipe the person's neck, and if it goes past their neck, then they're fine. But all of a sudden, the broom sticks together, and they just pulls the person, and then you know, okay, he's the thief.
He did it.
So I'm just saying that to say, like, you know, in a natural world, in real nature, like, you don't get away with much.
Yeah.
So
There's a divination for that.
Yeah, there's a divination for that.
That's a good catchphrase for our divination transparency organization. There's a divination for that. I'd pay for that divination. But yeah, just give us a little bit more clarity, and then we'll be able to touch on that for you, Faisal. And Matthew Ruta is back. He said, if someone starts a forest fire or modern tech creating seismic earthquakes, a form of nature holding humanity accountable, how do you do what's coming from nature?
What?
I think what he's trying to, are you? I don't know.
What kind of movies you
Yeah, I don't
watching,
know.
Matt?
If
You
someone
got some
starts a
good-
forest fire, or modern tech creating seismic earthquakes, a form of nature holding humanity accountable, how do you do what's coming from nature? I don't know. You
Let me
gotta-
say this.
You gotta clarify. First.
How do we know what or who is really starting the fires? And then two, how do we know if they're the ones who are actually causing the earthquakes? Because I think he's talking about, because you ever heard of like that weapon that they say the government has that they just point it and it creates earthquakes and tsunamis?
Oh, is that what he's talking about?
I think that's what he's talking about. I could be wrong. Is that what you're talking about, Matt?
I don't know, Matt. I don't work for the government. Like, we don't know how those machines work.
You a part of the public sector.
Oh, he's saying, how do you know what disasters are coming from nature? I mean, all right, so hold on.
Okay,
There's a lot
you
to
said-
unpack there, right?
That's a big question.
Like, already, why do we call a phenomenon coming from nature a disaster?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we place it within that context? And I think that's a starting point to create a dialogue around what you're considering a natural disaster. So, like, that's the starting point, and that's where we gotta start before we can touch on, what's coming from nature and what's not coming from nature, because there's no way you can remove yourself from nature. But yeah, it's a perception trick. That's some
Exactly.
international
Exactly.
transparency language type
Exactly.
Legally?
that kind of conditions you to think a certain way or interact with the environment in a specific way.
It wasn't me,
Yeah,
but it was a faculty
Yeah.
of my some doing.
We need to start doing a disclaimer. We need to use the international transparency disclaimer.
Yo,
Be like, we don't
crazy.
stand by anything we've said today.
and Andrew Tate had to end up doing that, right? Like with his whole thing,
yeah.
he's just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
had to start it off by saying like nothing I'm saying
It's true.
is like
It's real
I
and
don't-
binding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, so Mista is asking, the weather's getting better. What events do you guys have coming up? We have an event in July. We're going to Africa Go Carnival.
Go Africa.
I don't know the dates off the top of my head, but Africa Go Carnival will be there. Look it up. You'll find us there. That's the next event that we will be at. How do you know what disasters are coming? Oh, we already did that one. Why can't progress depend on our changing the world to fit us, not the other way around? I don't know. It's true that the 77 commandments were originally over 200.
Just skip that question.
Yeah,
Why did you just skip that question?
Nah, I don't. We're just
I mean,
moving
that's
on.
it. We can
Yeah,
do
we're
it.
moving
Matt
on.
like
I mean,
that,
you
yo.
guys can do it, but I'm like,
You just had enough of you, man.
like I'm not. But okay, go ahead, guys.
I mean, progress itself has to be based on like what's going on around you, man. So, what's bigger than the earth? What's bigger than what sustains you? You know?
That's just some. That's like.
No, he said it's from a show though.
Yeah, he said
Yeah,
it's
that's
a quote from a show that he watched.
Yeah, I mean, but just because, look, man, people make up those things. Like, as a writer, a screenwriter, I can tell you, we make up the stuff. Like, you make up the lines.
Yeah, all
So,
of it.
I
All
don't
of
know.
it.
Like, I don't know what
He
to
was just
tell you.
he was just feeling that way that day. He just wrote that. That's how it works.
We had that ready. He was like, it's like, I've been waiting for Gigs to come back. I think Matthew has like a note of questions, and then
There's
he
like
just
a
copy
cue.
and paste.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
cue.
he's like, which one do I want to use?
Kim Warrior might be
Today.
feeding him questions.
I think Kim Warrior and Matthew Richard might be the same person.
Right.
Just different.
You just unpacked something.
Different personas. It's It's Matthew Ruta's
Oh,
split
man.
personality.
Matt, if that's true, it's fine.
We're
You
just
let us
messing
know.
with you, Matt. We're just messing with you. We hope everything is good in Toronto. But then, is it true that the 77 commandments were originally over 200?
No. No.
You could be the bad guy. No.
200
No.
commandments.
No,
is
there weren't.
crazy.
That's insane. Yeah.
I heard it. I think
I mean,
Islam.
77. We're already having a
77
hard
is
time.
hard
Do you
already.
want us to read some of them for you?
I think
Because
Islam
you're
tried to do
probably
that though,
broken
guys.
all of them.
For real?
Yeah, I think Islam tried to do that. I think they have over 200. But when you look at them, it's the same ones repeated.
Okay.
Yeah, they just ran out. So they just kind
Oh,
of like
so they
said the
just
same
changed the
thing in a
language?
different way.
They just switched the language.
Thou shalt not
They're
sleep
like,
with
thou
another's
shalt
wife.
not court that man's wife.
Thou shalt not sleep with
Thou
his
shalt not court
second
this
wife.
man's
either.
wife. Thou shalt not court any man's wife. How many more can we get out of that one? All right, so yeah, corruption perceptions index. Get on it, y'all.
Corruption.
Get on it. But just so you guys know, Sudan had a score of 20. So I realized that the Sudanese passport only had a score of 20.
Right. We forgot about the passport. Like we completely.
But you want to know the lowest rated country? Somalia. The Somalian pirates.
It's because they got pirates.
My God. They made a movie about it.
They got air
Come on.
pirates too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not flying
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And then Venezuela
What?
and Syria, South Sudan, Yemen, North Korea is 17.
Damn.
Yo, but the best part about this is the fact that all of the countries at the bottom are all countries that don't get along with any of the European
Right, the
powers.
European powers.
So it's
Exactly.
like, come on, guys.
Obvious much.
Like, hold on. This is my favorite. Where's China on the list? Because they have China like toward the bottom. China.
How do you have corruption in Madagascar? There's nobody
Yeah,
there.
who lives there? Who lives in Madagascar?
Yeah, it was like 12
Yeah.
people.
It's just a movie for Pixar or DreamWorks. That's all Madagascar
Right.
is. Yeah.
Don't say
Madagascar
that.
doesn't have
Those
we're-
animals had to
we're
go to
being
New York.
facetious,
I know.
bro.
I have to be the logical one
Yeah,
here.
we're being facetious. Haiti's number 17. No, Haiti has a ranking of 17.
Nicaragua and Haiti are the same.
Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, whatever. North Korea.
He said, Negro.
Yeah, he said Nicaragua. Like, what did you say? Where was China? China was.
Myanmar.
Nigeria's 25. Nigeria has a rating of 25. They're not 25, but they have a rating of
A
25.
rating
They're
of
145. Cameroon is 20 has a rating of 26.
I know some Cameroonians, man.
Cameroon and
pretty
Russia have
27.
the same rating.
27.
No, bro, it's
That's Guinea.
oh, sorry, yeah. Laos, Togo has 31.
And they're what? 126?
Yeah, they're 126, but they have a rating of 31. Mexico has the same rating as Togo. Kenya. 31.
That was-
Niger, 32. Turkey is 34. Damn. Turkey's with y'all, too. Egypt's 35. Where was China, man?
I don't think China will be all the way up there.
Oh, there it is. It has a rating of 42.
Oh.
Burkina Faso came in with a rating of 41.
Wow.
China has a rating of 42. China and Cuba have the same rating. Yeah. Ghana, 43. Benin, 43. Jamaica, 44.
Corruption.
Saudi Arabia's 50 has a rating of 52. And yeah, Costa Rica came in at 55.
Mm.
I just want to know how much money you pay.
Exactly.
Like, I just
How the
wanna know-
hell is
like, I just
Barbados
wanna know-
it has a rating of
Exactly.
68? I don't. How?
I mean, probably because they vacation in Barbados. So they're like,
That's where
it's
they
not
they hide
corrupt.
money there. It gotta be.
Singapore is 83. It has a score of 83. It's in the top 5. It's number 5. This was so. I had stayed up for I don't know how many hours looking at this, and I was like, this is insane. Japan is number 16, has a rating of 73. I mean, I could. What kind of corruption do you guys think exists in Japan?
Bro, the whole country.
What?
Let me tell you something. The whole country is ran by Yakuza.
What?
Oh,
The
I don't
whole
know.
country.
How do you guys?
You ain't
know
never
this,
seen
though?
Need for Speed?
No. That's what we're basing it off of. Need
Come
for
on,
Speed,
man.
the movie or the video game?
Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter.
Bro, let me
I
tell you
didn't know
something.
that the Yakuza runs
The
Japan.
whole country is run by Yakuza.
Wait, where's South Korea on
Fast and Furious?
here? Really? This is our basis?
Come on, man.
I'm gonna tell you off camera. Oh, I don't want to incriminate. I know.
I don't wanna know.
I know some things.
Don't say that on camera and then say you're going to tell me
home
off
after
camera.
this.
No,
Before his
no,
speech.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, you do.
Where is South Korea? I'm surprised South Korea. Oh, South Korea has a
41.
score of 63.
Ranked 32.
That's ranked 32. I must have passed it.
South Africa's 41. Surprising.
No, South Africa has a rating of 41,
That's
but their ranking is 83. But yeah, I mean, good luck, Somalia. You're coming
There
in,
is a woman
You're
in
coming in.
Somalia.
coming in last. They have the worst. They have an 11. They have the worst rating, and then before that,
Sade made a song about it. You know? There's a
I
video
need to go to
too.
Venezuela. I need to start business in Venezuela. Start business in Somalia, Venezuela, Syria, South Sudan, Yemen, North Korea. Here we come. All right. Shall we?
Oh,
I think we are there. And then, but first, a word from our sponsor.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but since you're the best one.
No, I'm not.
No, you are the
I
best
am
one.
not.
Since when? You said you have it memorized.
come on
I don't
now.
remember it.
Yeah, you don't remember it? It's okay, it's right here. Oh, let me post the census for you guys in the chat so you guys can also,
Are you ready?
Go do your own research. Yes, go ahead.
Sauce Hot Sauce began in 2007 when a small group of students traveling in West Africa were trying to think of ways to support charitable projects.
You're fired.
I told you. One of the students traveling happened to be an artisanal hot sauce chef, and right there, Sauce Hot Sauce was born. Since then, Sauce Hot Sauce has prided itself on making exceptional artisan hot sauces with high-quality ingredients to support good causes. We continue to do this with the best and tastiest offerings of sauce flavors to date, with a focus on supporting displaced families in the Fara and Gormor region of Burkina Faso with the revenue from our sales. Buy some sauce. It's very saucy.
And it tastes good.
Amazingly good.
So hold on, I just saw something on the site. It says how we're funded.
What?
Let's look into this. For Transparency International, how we're funded.
I have a few guesses.
Funding and financials.
Why would you put that on the website?
All right, so hold on.
Just-
This is so
You
interesting.
just
Funding and financials. Secure and diverse funding enables Transparency International to undertake its vital work, maintain its independence and reputation, and operate effectively. Transparency International receives funding from a range of donors, including government agencies, multilateral institutions, foundations, the private sector, and individuals. Funding may be unrestricted or tied to specific projects or programs. It is Transparency's international policy to accept funding, whether monetary or in kind, from any donor. provided that acceptance does not impair our independence to pursue our mission or endanger our integrity and reputation.
Somebody called
Babylon,
Dawes,
yeah, like, like, come on.
Yo.
Come on.
Oh man, you can't make this up.
So basically, let's translate that. So we take money from everyone.
Everybody, everywhere.
And we don't care who it's from, and basically whoever pays us, we then put you on the list and give you a good rating.
Use it to say what we want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to transparency.org.
Nice.
Transparency International.
All right, we ready for our call?
Let's do this.
All right.
Shoot.
First topic: Kendrick or Drake?
Oh.
Come on, really?
Okay, so him and I were talking about this. That's why he's bringing it up, because I know
What's going on?
he wants me to say it.
It's what's going on right
Because
now.
he asked me,
I can't escape this topic.
listen, because
You won't. It's what's really happening in the world.
we were in Florida, and then it started, the whole beef thing started,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, "What do you think?" And I said, "At the end of the day, bro, we're here listening to two men write poems about each other.
Exactly.
Like, that's what we're listening to." I was like, how can you make a poem threatening to another man? Like, how do you
What
tell
about
another
Ether,
man?
son?
How do you
What about Ether,
and
son?
then he was like, what about Ether? And I was like, that's an exception. Exceptional love poem.
That's quite a poem, isn't it?
Which exudes a lot of hate. And it's done exceptionally well, but it's still a poem. It's still a love poem. It's still an emotional poem. And at the end of the day, because I was talking to my sister and she was like, Kendrick Lamar buried him. And I was like, listen.
He's still alive.
I was like, you have to understand. It's like having a beef with Drake is like having a beef with Britney Spears. It's like you don't
explain
win. You don't win. There's certain people you beef with and you lose.
How?
It's like this OG told me one time, he was like, never fight.
Wait,
Like never fight.
I guess Justin Timberlake did lose their beef in a way.
Bruh. It just like certain people you lose. Like
I get what you're
beefing
trying
with
to
them,
say.
you lose.
It's like it doesn't even make sense.
It's like you win and you lose at the same time, right?
Yeah,
Monikata?
exactly.
It's like you win, but you lost because you're beefing with like someone that.
America's sweetheart.
Yeah, it's like Kanye when he took the mic from Taylor Swift.
It's
like
bullying at that
it's
point.
like
Right.
they were like King Kong. They were like it's over. It's finished. It's America's sweetheart. It's done. So I mean, we all lose. We all lost because Kendrick and Drake are beefing, and the world is suffering.
I mean, the thing is, the radio is playing all of these songs.
Every day.
To me, I don't even think it's a real beef. I think it's just another publicity thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Sell some records.
Yeah, but I mean, the only thing is that like all they've been doing is accusing the other of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do.
Yeah, so then it's like, well, because I was thinking about it. I was like, so like all you can do, because I started to like dissect it on a human level,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, so literally, you're trying to hurt the other person by making up things about them, or insinuating, or not, right? Who knows? But it's still like you're still going out of your way trying to hurt someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just thinking about it, I was like, we all lose. Like, no one wins.
That's true.
Like, anyone that's partaking in this, anyone that's listening to the music, it's like you're still listening and partaking in someone trying to diss someone else. And it's ridiculous because it's two men writing love poems to each other.
And what's crazy about it is the more I like listen to rap music to a certain degree, every song has that element to it. It's just that You may not think it's personal. They're probably even talking about somebody in the songs. Like it's like a current event that's happening in their life, and they're talking about somebody. You know, I fucked your bitch.
Exactly. Like the interesting thing to me is
That's the number one.
Like I didn't name no names, but
like, like I was thinking about it, and I was saying to myself, I was like, bro, I was like, the whole basis of rap music now is like I took your girl.
Yo, seriously.
I had sex with your girl. Like it's all, like you broke, I got
Exactly.
it. You don't, I got it. And it's all like stunting, and then it's so ridiculous because it's like you start thinking about it, and then you're just kind of.
How I feel about J. Cole? Do you know what J. Cole did?
when he apologized.
Yeah, he like made a whole diss
even
song.
worse.
Yeah,
And then took it-
Yeah, that's even
he
worse.
apologized at a concert
It's even worse.
that lined up with a Kendrick Lamar bar
Like just own it.
on the date. Like,
Just
it was
own it.
crazy.
Like if you're going to engage in ridiculous behavior, just own it.
Don't apologize.
Like don't apologize. Just own it. And it just is like J. Cole, you own it. Own it.
Maybe he's a smart one.
No.
Maybe he is. He's not involved in any of it
I mean,
anymore,
that's what
right?
the internet is
No,
saying.
he
They're saying he
is.
made a secure business
He is.
decision
Yeah.
because he backed out.
Because he
Right.
backed out.
Yeah.
When he
Just
biked
tweet-
away.
Yeah, he just tweaked on Drake.
I saw a meme about it. It was like Kendrick and Drake.
Yeah.
It was just fighting, and it was J. Cole riding off in the sunset. Like
Yeah, but the thing is that even in my opinion, J. Cole is the better rapper out of all three.
Yeah.
But he's the one that's like, I'm sorry. It's like
Secure business decision.
No, bro, it's a loss. everyone lost. Everyone lost. Everyone involved. Rick Ross lost.
Yeah, Rick Ross lost.
Kendrick
big time.
lost.
I don't know why he
Drake
jumped
lost.
in there.
J. Cole lost. Everybody
Future.
involved. Future law? Nah.
the Future was in it.
That mixtape is pretty good, bro.
I mean, I honestly,
mixtape's pretty
I haven't
good.
really heard any of the music like that.
I mean, the first 6 songs are good, and then the second mixtape is I just don't even listen to it.
Dropped off.
But yeah, it was Future was winning in the first 6 songs, but then then he came out with the second mixtape. Then he started.
Everybody lost.
Yeah, everybody lost. It's L's for everybody.
All right.
Next one.
Next up. Diddy.
Oh,
Video of Diddy.
my gosh.
Surfaces
There's a
on
new one?
CNN.
Is a
Did
new
you
one?
see it?
No.
they have security footage
Footage.
of him beating up Cassie.
Oh.
In a hotel.
In a
It was
hotel.
crazy, bro.
Well, hold on. Here's the thing, right? Is first and foremost, we don't know if any of it's fabricated,
Yeah, AI is crazy these
Yeah.
days.
We don't
Yeah,
know.
that's true.
but the thing is that 50 Cent wins.
Always.
50
Always.
Cent
50
wins.
been winning for
Always.
a long
50
time.
has been
50 never
winning.
loses,
He's
bro.
been winning
50's
for a
been
long
winning.
I
time.
think 50 got jujus.
You know what?
I
possible.
swear to you, I think he got jujus, bro.
I have a friend of mine that used to work for Who Kid,
Mhm.
who's like 50 Cent's DJ, or used to be. I don't know if he is anymore. And he and like G Unit's tour DJ. And I asked him one time, I was like, let me ask you something, Dre. I was like, so is 50 down with all that, like, like that weird Hollywood stuff?
That behind the scenes
And he
stuff.
was like, and I'm gonna quote Dre, he was like, 50 a real nigga that got money. He a real nigga that they let in and he got money. And I was like, enough said.
That's why he be airing shit out.
And that-
he just be
But
airing it
listen,
all out.
did you see
Word.
how now he's taunting Jay-Z and he's like, Jay is silent because he doesn't want what's coming out on Diddy to be
go
coming
on.
out on him too.
Oh.
So I mean, hey, that's the way those circles keep each other in check. Is they keep dirt on each other, so it's like
Man.
you go out, then they
I
put your dirt out.
heard
Transparency, y'all hear
that
this?
the only reason why it's even happening to Diddy now was because he pissed one of them off.
Yeah,
Like somebody in that circle,
was in the
pissed them
circle.
niggas off.
Yeah,
He
and
was
they
in
were
the
like,
circle
all right,
for a long
bro,
time.
your protection is
yeah,
clip.
like if if you're in the circle, if you're in the circle, and then something goes wrong, then that's natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, they
Mr. said it's more like a melodic letter than a poem.
I mean, it is. It's a melodic poem.
All right. So the last one, I had to pull in some ridiculousness.
Okay.
Right.
Oh wait, you said to mute the mic.
Yeah, I'm muted in a second. All right. Let me run
Tell me when to mute.
All right. You can mute it.
Now to a continuing investigation that you've only seen on Local 10 News, an elaborate Facebook scam putting an entire neighborhood on edge.
And there has been a break in the case, and we're learning the suspect lived very close to his alleged victims. Local 10's Andrew Perez is live in Dania Beach with the exclusive tonight. Andrew.
This is part of a much bigger issue, by the way, that we exposed exclusively here on Local 10 News. In this case, with this suspect, he's only 18 years old. No more Facebook for a while for 18-year-old Maurice Verrado. He's the man, say deputies, behind an elaborate Facebook scam that turned victim against victim, and there were many. Things turned violent.
People have complete strangers coming to their home saying they're here to rent their car, having no idea who this person is. The person that's going to the home having no idea they're about to find out that they've been scammed.
Prosecutors say it was a recipe for disaster. Verrado posting fake rental ads using his neighbors' cars in Dania Beach, they say, collecting deposits to rent those cars, then giving his neighbors' addresses for pickup. Strangers would keep showing up to those homes. What's their reaction when you tell them my car's not for rent?
I don't think they believe me.
I didn't even know you can rent a car on that Facebook app.
Didn't he think that if he got caught, he's going to go to jail for a long time?
Robert Vasquez is relieved his son's car was smashed up after one of those misunderstandings with a renter online. Deputies got to Verrado through a series of numbers and emails, writing subpoenas or warrants to companies like Google, Zelle, and Facebook, connecting a million little pieces to Verrado, who they say acknowledged to creating fake Facebook screen names a long time ago and always having backup accounts in case Facebook took his down.
He said what? Oh.
I said he looks like a scammer. Like you could see that like smirk in his mugshot.
Like I did what I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but how much money did he get away with?
I don't know.
Like how many cars did he rent out?
It was so hard. They broke it on whatever that news station was. It's so hard to find any information on it from anywhere else, though.
How long was he doing this? Did it say?
I don't know.
You want to know?
I don't know.
So how you can figure out how long you can get away with it?
Check.
Well, you know what's funny is remember when we were in Pensacola? And then you started looking up Pensacola?
Yeah.
And then he said you could say what you found about the city of Pensacola and neighbors. I'm trying to say it without giving it away.
Damn. Well, just say it, cause I don't remember what it was.
It was the board. I don't remember. He found himself on like community support board.
There was I went to like Pensacola.org or something like that, and they were like, every other household has a sex offender in Pensacola.
What?
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's where they all just commune.
Yeah, they come to park on the Howdy, neighbor.
Tutibsaa was like, lock the windows.
And then he was like, bruh, it's Florida. And I was like, what's that supposed to mean?
Florida,
I was like,
man.
why is Florida a hotbed for sexual predators? I was like, why do the child predators come to Florida? He was like, bro, you don't know? Like Florida man? I was like, no, I get Florida man. But how did it become a hotbed for sexual child predators? Like, that doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
It's something in the water.
No. Don't support this foolishness.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, just
Corruption.
stay away from Florida.
Corruption.
But All right, guys. Well, it's been another episode of the Gated Gates podcast. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We hope you guys continue to tune in. We'll be back with you guys very soon. And until then, please take care, and we'll see you guys next week. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. So much content on the page. Check it out. Also, don't forget to go to the earthcenter.org, anhlife.org, saucehotsauce.com. So many resources, risingfirefly.org. So many resources, so many things out there. New Jersey's not the only location. There's so many locations. Make sure you guys check it out.
All right. Bye-bye.